Hi everyone, in today's video I want to go over my favorite bodyweight only exercises for each muscle group so you can get big and strong with calisthenics. Okay? If you want to check one-on-one online coaching, check it in the description, schedule a free call with me to see if it's a good fit. If not, let's roll with the video. I now value, and that's the path maybe a lot of calisthenics athletes will resonate with, just the pure value of strength and muscle building. First and foremost is absolutely fun, and the main reason that I entered the gym in the first place in 2011 was to just build muscle and get strong. That helped me build the confidence, the self-esteem, and the ability. Confidence comes from your ability, your improved abilities. It changed me as a person, right? Being strong and big meant a lot to me. And then I went on to this quest of movement complexity that intrigued me with a lot of bodyweight skills and has kept me in bodyweight training to this day. So in this video, I'm not disregarding the values of valued skills and gymnastics type of strength training, but I'm purely talking about if you want to build big size, big pack-on size and muscle mass with body weight only, these are my favorite exercise for every muscle group, okay? I want first to go over some basic principles because there's a notion where the body doesn't know the type of resistance, whether that's a barbell or body weight or machine. It just knows resistance, right? Muscles just knows how to contract. It's kind of a statement that disregards a lot of the fact, a lot of the reality where the average gym lifter, power lifter, weightlifter, power builder, crossfitter, and just a bodybuilder or recreational lifter on average will be more jacked significantly and stronger in most things, in most lifts, than the gymnast or the calisthenic athlete. This is a fact. We take averages, right? So there's something inherent to bodyweight training that it makes it harder to build muscle mass with. I'm trying today to help you to build muscle mass with the weight exercises, bodyweight training, so you can do it at home, which is how I do, or at a tree branch or a local outdoor park, right? And you can build an amazing physique. Gymnasts and calisthenic athletes, they do have, on average, higher mobility, they are more skilled, they are leaner on average, right? More aesthetic perhaps on average. They are not generally bigger and stronger. So there's something to learn from what bodybuilders, regular gym goers are doing on a regular basis that is lacking in calisthenics. We need to apply that in order to build a strong and big physique with bodyweight only training, and it has limitations. There's a reason why the average calisthenic athlete is not as big. We need to apply the basic strength training principles. I will go over them very briefly before we dive into all of the different muscle groups and the exercise that I do to build my physique and my clients' physiques. First, we need to find exercises, and this is a hard task, that you can manage and you can track and you can measure objectively with bodyweight only exercises, okay? And a lot of the style of bodyweight training in it of itself is progressed by changing the exercise. And that's a mistake if building muscle is your priority. For instance, someone might change their main pushing exercise from a push-up to a handstand push-up to a planche push-up, and then a Maltese as means of progressing their pushing strength. But each separate exercise puts entirely different emphasis on different muscle groups. So just getting your chest, lats, arms bigger, that's not the best way to go. We need to find exercises that we can actually apply, not only for weeks and months, but years and decades, to be able to progressively overload them to a meaningful degree. Just like what makes big squatter's leg, huge, is taking the squat from 135 to 225, 315, 405, which really is where I think separates the casuals from actual strong lifters, onwards, right? 495 onwards. You take an exercise that utilizes a lot of muscle mass through a long range of motion, which are other strength training principles that we need to apply, generally speaking, to bodyweight exercises, and you progress this exercise to a meaningful degree. And your only way of progressing it to a meaningful degree will be you applying the same exercise for years and possibly decades, to the point that the body has no other options but packing on the amount of size to accommodate the demand, right? Trackable, manageable, measurable, objectively, so you can progress over years. Logistically, you need to apply it wherever you are. So if you're training outdoors, but now you're training at home and now you're training at a gym, and you can't do the same bodyweight exercise, that's a problem. You need to find something that is sustainably practiced. And then something that you can apply over a full range of motion. Generally speaking, yes, you can build some muscle mass with isometrics. It's better to use a full range of motion. Partial range of motion works as well, but mostly speaking, it will be full range of motion to build more muscle mass, and exercise that incorporate, usually full range of motion, incorporate also more muscle mass and muscle groups simultaneously. Those will be better exercise to pack on size and muscle mass. And the fourth thing that I will add is that you can actually progressively overload it in a rep range that is suitable for maximizing muscle growth, okay? A lot of the skills are untrainable in the 5, 10, 15 rep range. You can barely do one. Most of the progressions, you can barely do one. One arm chin-ups, one chin-up hold at the top, or those are very hard. You need to find exercise that you can do right now for 5 to 10 reps, right? And you can do the same thing on Wednesday, and same thing next week. Yes, you can build some muscle doing single reps. Yes, you can build some muscle doing sets of 30 and 40, but it's less practical. There's a reason why bodybuilders have been building the biggest physiques. Not saying that you want the bodybuilder's physique, or you are doing bodybuilder, but maybe you just want to build more muscle mass doing calisthenics while you're getting more skilled and strong as well, which is phenomenal. There's a reason why bodybuilders have been sticking to the 6 to 12 rep range. Rarely do they go 5 or lower. Rarely do they go 20 or higher. 5 to 15, 6 to 15 will be the sweet spot for hypertrophy. There's a reason, okay? Single reps require more nervous system activation in most cases, and might be limited by tendon stiffness instead of muscle contractile ability. Higher rep sets might be limited by mental fatigue. You might be actually exhausted doing the set, or bored. You might be metabolically not fit to do sets that are longer. Maybe it's more endurance, less strength. There will be some carryover effect in every rep range, but the ideal rep range will probably be your 5 to 15s, okay, to build the most amount of muscle mass. So you need exercise that you can train in those rep ranges. Now let's move on into my preferred exercise for each muscle group. Let's start with every bro's dream. That will be the pecs, the chest. Not a dominant muscle group in a gymnast or calisthenics physique. A lot of the exercise are performed in a protracted position. It doesn't incorporate the stretch as much, and you usually see bigger shoulders in calisthenics and gymnast, less of a big chunky torso and big dominant chest. How can you get big chest strong with bodyweight only exercises? That's the dips. The dips are referred to as the squat of the upper body. Why? It utilizes full range of motion, a lot of muscle groups, and it's a heck of an exercise that you can progress for years and decades. Now, with bodyweight training, when you do dips, you can do parallel bar dips. When you get stronger, you can do ring dips. Move on to ring dips with ring turnout at the top. And then you can move on to the boss, the final boss of bodyweight dips. Fully supinated ring turnout dips throughout the whole range. You stretch the chest at the bottom, really stretch it. You push all the way up with the ring turnouts, and you hold and lock your arms at the top. That's an extremely hard exercise that I challenge any lifter to try. If you can do a set of 5 reps, send me and tag me in a video. I would love to see that. I love just seeing everyday lifter taking part in beautiful bodyweight exercise. That's a fantastic exercise that will be a lifetime quest for most people, average size, height and weight to achieve, let alone for 3 sets of 10 or 3 sets of 15. That's insane level of strength. Strict ring turn out, stretch at the bottom, pause, push to the top, and lock out. Proper quality reps. That's insane. I've been working personally my way through sets of 5 to sets of 10. I'm not quite there yet with the best quality, but this exercise is insane because you have to lean forward more in order to do it, and you have to tuck your elbows more, which is harder, in order to do it. Extremely, extremely demanding on a lot of muscle group, and particularly the chest. You get a good stretch at the bottom, right? We're not talking about weighted calisthenics because if you are able logistically to pack on the plates and belt, you can basically do barbell training with dips and pull-ups. That's not the type of the video. Those are great options indeed. You can pack on a ton of strength and size very pragmatically using incremental jumps in weight, 1-2 kilograms from workout or week or month to month with your weighted dips and weighted pull-ups. These are just bodyweight only alternatives. And this is how I've been training predominantly for my upper body. Now, those are the ring turnout dips. Those are phenomenal. If you want, again, start with push-ups, ring push-ups, parallel bar dips, move on to ring dips, ring turnout dips at the top, and then go full supinate. So you have lifetime quest of chest building with this exercise. Tag me in it, do a set of 5, let me see it. Now let's move on to the back. The back is really more than just the lats. There's the traps, there's the rhomboids, the spinae erectors, so many different muscle groups, but let's bunch them all up in an exercise that really activates and stimulates most out of your back, which would be the pull-up. And I'm referring to a wider than shoulder grip apart, pronated grip with the back of the palm is facing you, pull-up, right? Not a chin-up, because with a chin-up, you usually round your upper back at the top. It incorporates less upper back. It will incorporate a lot of lat because you do work that sagittal shoulder extension range of motion quite well, and it puts more emphasis on the arm. If you're talking just back development, with the arms less being a limiting factor in your set, you would go wider, where the back muscles would be a limiting factor. That's what you want when you perform an exercise. Something that is relatively stable, where you feel the target muscle exhausted to the point that it limits you at the end of the set, and not some other small muscle group if you want to indeed grow your back. So that's the pull-up, right? And you can start with feet on the ground. Rack pull-ups are phenomenal. I don't see them quite enough. The problem with pull-ups is that with proper form, they are too hard for too many people to get into that 5 to 15 rep range, so you can get a good squeeze out of your back and a great stimulus, right? Put your feet on the ground or on a box or on a bench or a rack. That's what the exercise is named, the rack pull-ups. Put your feet in front of you in elevation and go through the pull-up motion, holding a barbell or holding something that you can pull from rings, and do it basically with less weight, so you can get into a proper tempo with a proper rep range and feel your back activates. So many people are just fixed on doing it with your body weight because that's the pull-up, or any other variation is not. So they have to compensate their technique by keeping legs, hips, or not doing it properly, engaging their back, so the purpose of the exercise is missed, right? Because they're fixated on doing it with their body weight, and there might not be yet at this level. Rack pull-ups, then move on to pull-ups with your chin over the bar, and then try to get chest to bar. Now, this increased range of motion, what it will do, it enforces more upper back activation at the top. You get more out of your rhomboids, posterior deltoid. You get more of your upper back in general, your trapezius muscles. And you will feel it also in your erectors, in your spine. So that's the chest to bar. It's extremely hard to just get a proper controlled set of 10. Now, if you got this far, you can move on to the next progression, which will be the Gironda pull-up, where you are arching your way even further back to hit your sternum to the bar. Not just your clavicle, chest to bar, sternum, which makes the exercise between a pull-up and now a row really working all of the back. This is the king of the back exercises. Now for the chest, Mike Mentzer used to say that's the squat of the upper body. He was a big supporter of the dips, and a lot of other lifters would. Where for the back, pull-ups were used so frequently in old school lifting, silver and gold era, to build huge backs by bodybuilders. That was their choice, to build their winning back. Franco Colombo was doing a lot of that. Gironda or perfect pull-ups, they were named as well. Sergio Oliva, Serge Newbray were doing them. Marvin Eder, one of my favorite silver era bodybuilders from New York. The guy was benching more than 500 pounds, overhead pressing 340, overhead strict in a bodyweight less than 200 pounds. He had the most amazing back, turtle back, huge back, one of the strongest pound per pound athletes of all time, lifters that is. He was able to do 9 and 8 one-arm chin-ups per arm. He was doing pull-ups, chin-ups only workouts. He has a routine where he goes through maybe 8 different pull-up and chin-ups progression as his back workout. He was doing extremely wide pull-ups, extremely wide, this wide, almost like in a crucifix position. Marvin Eder had a huge back. You should definitely watch this guy, learn from him. He was doing it because they believed that it stretches your structure. It pulls the scapula apart almost to widen your physique. Now, whether it's correct or not, that's a different question. The fact that he's built an amazing back, predominantly doing pull-ups and chin-ups, that's a fact. That's the king for me of the back exercises. And you have a lot of ways to progress, getting towards honest chest to bar pull-ups controlled, let alone Gironda pull-ups for sets of 5, 10, 15. That's a lifetime quest for most people. I'm not there yet. Definitely, I have a lot of room for improvement, so I'm not worried. For me, for my stage, I don't think about which skill can I hit this year. I want to do a full planche push-up. I'm actually more interested and moved by exercises that I can practice for a lifetime. 10, 20, 40 years from now that I can still practice, not necessarily progress. I'm not saying that you can indefinitely progress, but honestly practice and enjoy and benefit from when you're also 40, 60, and 80. That's the type of exercise that I want to do. I don't want to do exercises that are just a one-year quest and you don't see them as a fruitful lifetime practice. That's for me right now where I'm at. I'm already doing calisthenics for 9 years now and been training since 2011, basically every day, really what it is. So that's my choice of exercise. And now for shoulders. Shoulders are a dominant muscle group for gymnasts. Shoulders just have extreme range of motion. Watch the range of motion of the shoulders compared to any other joint. You have so many options in the transverse, sagittal, horizontal plane, and gymnasts, through all of their different exercises and skill, they utilize these ranges of motion. Therefore, they have great overall shoulder development from their routines and exercises. For me, the single best shoulder builder would be the handstand push-up. Now, you don't have to do it freestanding, upside down on your hand, with no support, but I do think that it gets you even an extra added benefit because you are, by definition, if you're doing it freestanding, you are in the center of your base of support at any time, and it means, for instance, that the lockout is spread throughout more of your upper back and posterior shoulder as well, and you don't keep it mostly in the anterior deltoid or might be cheating on the wall. But in fact, just the wall supported in itself, chest to wall supported, back to wall supported, which is what I'm doing right now mostly, is a phenomenal exercise that will recruit all of your shoulder, not just your anterior deltoid, as people believe. It is very easy. Watch yourself, film yourself, and you can see the fibers being recruited as you perform this exercise, and you will actually see that you are not just working the front delt. You will see a lot of side and posterior delt activation at different parts of the range of motion as well. It's a great overall shoulder builder. Now you get a lot of upper traps activation. That's why what I credit my traps for. They are decent, they're not huge, but it's important. You don't want to be a total pencil neck. Full range of motion or partial range of motion, we will just work nose to the floor. You can then put your hands on books or barbell plates, increase range of motion, hopefully get all the way down to your clavicle, where I do it when I put chairs on the wall and then my head goes through. I can hit the shoulders, the chairs with my shoulders at the bottom for a fantastic stretch, and go all the way top to the lockout at the top. You can go further away, leaning more, making it more of a front press, strict press, or if you widen your stance and grip, if that's comfortable for your shoulders, that mimics more of the vintage behind the neck barbell press, which is working more of the side delt than the usual front press, strict press, military press, okay? It does recruit more of the overall shoulder than just the front press. But both of them work great for general shoulder strength. I recommend both, and you get a lot of side and posterior delt activation from just overhead presses. That's completely fine. Mostly side delts, posterior delt will be hit with pull-ups and a lot of back exercise, body weight too. I personally am working towards a set of 20 full range, honest, back to wall or chest to wall handstand push-up. That's my project for this year. I've been working on it since the beginning of this year. I'm on my way, inching my way through that. And I'm at about 14 reps right now. I haven't tested my true max on these, but that's where I'm about. And that's for me, that's an exercise that I can definitely see how I progress with that. Such a tremendous exercise. Today, a lot of people just spam lateral raises to get big shoulders. I think you are underestimating the value of moving heavy load, your body weight in this case, through full range of motion and what it does for the rest of your physique, but also your shoulders. And it's just a hell of a fun of a movement. Okay, lifting, training, rings, body weight. It should be fun, man. That's the lifting culture. You do it because it's fucking awesome. That's the truth, right? You don't want to find the most optimal way if that's not exciting for you, right? You won't stick to that. Nothing is for me as fun. Well, one of the best exercises for me is the handstand push-up. When I do it, when I pump a set, that's one of the best feelings. So that's my preferred exercise. Shout out to another great underestimated shoulder exercise is the ring face pulls, which when you do it is actually a combination, if you see it, like an upright row and a shoulder external rotation. So if you do that alongside a overhead handstand push-up, you get an overall great shoulder development. One is working more of the front and side, and the other is also working the side, but also external rotators, and also the posterior delt, right? So they complement one another beautifully. Moving on to your legs. Now, calisthenics athletes get a lot of smack for their legs, and for good reasons. There are just no exciting leg exercises that are skills or goals that people set in calisthenics. There are nothing exciting. A planche can be exciting. A one-arm chin-up is extremely exciting. A pistol squat is something that is also not as difficult, often obtained quite fast, especially by lighter athletes. And then you're kind of, what am I doing here? So for you, I would say the best muscle building options for leg training would be to choose a stable option. Okay, your pistol or shrimp squat, any unilateral leg exercise, might be limited by mobility or by stability, right? You want to make it more stable slightly so you can actually stimulate the muscles. There are the unilateral exercise that you can try by holding assistance, ladder, fence, box, wall, so you can get a decent leg stimulus. You can actually feel the leg going through full range of motion. Glutes and quads will be developed. If you get to a stage where you're already doing sets of 10 plus, you need to move on to a different exercise. I've been doing hack squat on the wall. Okay, so you place your feet half a meter or a good meter in front, and you do it almost like a CC squat, Tom Platz style of hack squat technique. And the friction with the wall creates a lot of load. That's a great exercise. Now, I've been challenging the 8-10 rep range there, really burning my quads. I've been searching for a quad dominant exercise. This is extremely difficult. I can't imagine doing single leg of this wall hack squat exercise. So I have lifetime of work ahead of me with these progressions on the hack squat style, CC style squat on the wall, right? Besides that, for more of posterior leg, that will be the Nordic curls. Nordic curls extremely stressful to the hamstrings. Rarely do we see an honest single, let alone a set of 5 or 10. And I've been seeing people on the quest to doing single leg Nordic curl, which is absolutely insane. So just your body weight will be enough probably for your lifetime to challenge the hamstrings with the Nordic curls, right? That's for the legs. Now, moving on to the arms, my preferred arm exercises are for the arms, it's the pelican curl, which is basically an exercise like an incline dumbbell bench, but it also puts a lot of stress on the distal part of the bicep in the stretch position when the arms are behind the body. You can start incline, move your way through your horizontal, and then even decline. That's an insanely difficult exercise. Most lifters will be challenged just doing a single rep. At a heavier body weight, it's an insane movement. For reference, I'm 170 centimeters, that's 5'7", I believe, and 190 pounds, about 87 kilograms. I'm not huge, I'm relatively heavy for calisthenics, and I've been able to build a lot of muscle mass with all of the exercises that I am mentioning in this video by prioritizing them. Like we said, applying the basic strength training principles and muscle building principles that have always been executed and established already. We need to apply it to calisthenics. Calisthenics athletes, on average, are smaller. We need to find exercise that work all of the muscle groups, full range of motion, that you can actually apply and progressively overload, not for months, but years and decades, for a lifetime, right? So that's for the legs. Moving on to the arms, I already said the pelican curls, that's the best bicep builder in my opinion. Just a few incline pelican curls on your first day will create the DOMs that you never felt in your arms, I guarantee you. I guarantee you, right? That's another exercise that I want to see a proper set of 5 from any lifter. If you can do it, comment, tag me in a video, let me know, okay? That's an exercise that stresses the biceps tremendously. In the stretch position, has a lot of potential for growth. That's an amazing exercise. For the triceps, my preferred exercise will be the overhead triceps bodyweight extensions. Okay, you can do that with incline and then fully horizontal and then even one arm if you're that good of a beast. I can't imagine doing it on one arm. My triceps are actually very sore right now from yesterday's workout doing this exact exercise. I can't imagine doing it for one arm, but I'm excited of having the opportunity to build towards that. I know what it means for tricep growth, being able to acquire such a strength with your triceps, doing it with one arm. Now, for this particular exercise, you do feel a lot of the abs because you are actually holding your body in like a Superman plank position. And I want to talk about the stabilizing muscle group or radiation effect of calisthenics. It is correct, and it became somewhat underestimated, that when you do dips, when you do pull-ups, you do have to stabilize your body in space. It's just enough stability to promote more overall growth, hormone effect, incorporating different muscle groups, which is something that you generally want when you're building the body, right? Now there comes a point where there's not enough stability in an exercise. That's where all of the Bosu ball, squat, barbell, Bosu ball, one leg hate comes from, for good reasons. But also, there's a point where people now promote too much stability, and I think that past a certain stage, it doesn't add to the exercise, and it might even potentially do more harm than good, where you can actually use alternatives that are, yes, less stable, like bodyweight exercise, like dips and pull-ups, but they're just stable enough to incorporate more muscle mass. Maybe not active range of motion, but even just contracting them isometrically would help you, even if isometric contractions are not the best for muscle growth. That's an added effect that you do it that enables you to incorporate more muscle mass and move better. It's somewhat underestimated nowadays. You do recruit more muscle mass when you do dips than a bench press. You do recruit more muscle mass. And you can load both extremely heavy. I'm not saying that you should do dips extremely light, just body weight, compared to someone who's been pushing heavy loads in bench, because I do think that you should strive for high benchmark, heavy loads. That's the way to build muscle. You can't just do body weight circuits, high rep stuff, endurance, and expect a big, jacked, strong physique. It's not the way that it works. Now, that's for the arms. That's for the biceps and triceps. Those are the best exercises. You do work a lot of the abs when you do the bodyweight tricep extension. It's not a disadvantage, right? There are ways to go around it, but you do want to incorporate more of your abs, more of your spine, more of your back, more of your erectors. When you're moving around, more of the rotator cuff muscles. That's a good additional benefit. There are workarounds if you find if your abs are the limiting muscle groups in the set, that's a problem. There are workarounds. But generally speaking, the bodyweight tricep overhead extension is a phenomenal choice. Now, those are my preferred muscle groups, preferred exercise for each muscle group for growth with bodyweight only training options. If you want one-on-one coaching, check the link in the description. We'll do a free call so we can see if it's a good fit to work together. If not, enjoy, like, share, subscribe, everything. See you on the next video.